host, Kara Waithaka, and today we have a very engaging guest. He's a theologist, psychologist. What other title do you have?
It's only those two.
It's only
I'm
those
just
two.
a psychologist, but I did some theology.
And his name is Bose.
Yeah, right.
Kindly welcome to this show and give us an introduction of a bit about yourself.
Thank you so much. My name is Bose James, and I'm a psychologist, and I consider myself also a human rights activist because I fight for the rights of the children, the women, and even the men. Sometimes when we talk about rights, we don't talk about men because we tend to consider that men are already with the rights. Yeah.
Karibu sana kwa show.
Asante.
Today we want to talk about mental health.
Yes.
Kindly demystify, because mi najua mental health, ukiambiwa one, akili yako kidogo imepungua, inamaanisha unaokota makaratasi uko kwa barabara, unakosa kuvaa nguo, you stop being a normal person.
No. A lot has been said about mental health, but again, when you look at it, a lot of us understand mental health to be sickness. When you talk about mental health, people think it is sickness. It's not sickness. It is just like anybody telling you, are you healthy? You know? So mental health is a whole round thing. It's a holistic kind of being alive, and it doesn't denote what you're talking about. I don't have to be picking pieces of paper on the road. I don't have to be talking alone for me to be needing mental health services.
Yes.
No.
So, nikijiongelesha kwa matatu, am I mentally stable?
You may not be mentally stable, but that is not the whole mental health. You understand?
Yes.
That's just a bit of mental health. It's just like you are healthy.
Yes.
But if a mosquito bites you, you get malaria, then you go to the hospital.
Yes.
Does it, that at that point now, you're unhealthy?
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So you need to be brought back to being healthy. So when we talk about mental health, we are all healthy. But when somebody reaches a point where they are not in charge of their faculties, all of them, then at that point now, you require mental specialist attention.
Si kupelekwa madhara.
Si lazima upelekwe madhara. Yes.
So there are those who get to a point that you need to be confined somewhere. Ni kama umepelekwa ward.
Yes. Just like the analogy I used about malaria. So when we talk about mental health, we talk about a myriad of things. What are the causes? What are those things that cause mental health challenges? Okay?
Yes.
The things people go through, the stress. We are just from a season of COVID-19. You call it COVID-19?
Yes.
We usually joke around and say, when we are greeting each other, we say COVID 2020. Because it was COVID-19, but it was within the year 2020.
Yes.
And during COVID-19, people were forced to go and stay at home. Families were forced to go and stay at home. And it is during this time that we had a rise in mental health demand services. Why? Because a lot of these people who were staying now at home with their spouses and their children and what, they did not know their spouses, they did not know their children. Because it is, I wake up in the morning, 5, and I leave.
Yes.
I'll come back 6 in the evening. She came back early. I left her dealing with the children.
Yes.
And I found her dealing with the children.
Yes.
So she knows the children, I don't know them. And in most cases, most of our families, again, there are those kinds of, a father is still the man. So he walks through the door.
Watu wote wanapotea. Akikohoa tu kwa gate.
Yes.
Everyone
if it's a driving one, they just see the car and everybody gets busy. He walks through the door and the house is as quiet as though there was nothing happening.
Remote imewekwa mahali anapenda.
Yes. You know. Yes. And so during this period of COVID, 19, there were a lot of cases about people disturbed mentally. Okay? What brings about this? There's anxiety, there is stress, people lost jobs, there is tension, and there is personality disorder, there is low self-esteem, a lot of things contribute.
Brings me to my topic of the day.
Yes.
Men.
Yes.
Ndio tunaitwa hizi men's conference.
Ile
tulitoka juzi na bado haijaisha. If you don't know, bado haijaisha. So mental health and the man.
Yes.
How do we tackle this? Because I'll give the example of people who are not during that lockdown season.
Yes.
We saw a rise in people who are not even married. Boyfriend, girlfriend have differences. You stab your spouse. Or ule alitoka Nairobi akakuja akapiga msichana shoka. What builds up to that? Can you call it a mental case?
Mental health services should be delivered at the earliest time possible in everybody's life. From as young as 0 years going on.
Yes.
Failure of which we have what we call pent-up feelings, emotions, yeah, and they are kept inside of us.
Wanaume tunaambiwa huwa tunanyamaza sana.
And that is the mistake. Saa zile tunaambia mwanaume we ni ndume, kufa kisabuni. Those feelings don't get out. And when those feelings don't get out, they get bottled. So anything small that will trigger those feelings can cause havoc. Imagine you taking a grenade. It has a pin.
Yes.
And so imagine you removing that pin slowly, over a period of time. The day it snaps, what happens?
It blows.
There's an explosion. So this is what happens with us when we are told kangumu kimwanaume kufa
Mwanaume hali.
Mwanaume lazima angangane nini. But the reality on the ground is that umeshindwa. And there's nowhere you can go and pour out yourself and vent.
We go to the bar.
When we go to the bar, we don't vent. Actually, what we are doing is we are trying to cover up.
So the alcohol, drowning my sorrows with alcohol.
Yes. The alcohol is just to drown ourselves for a moment. We are covering up. Those pent-up feelings don't go away. And that's why people have hangover. Because if you go to the bar, you had the problem, you drink yourself stupid, and then you come and sleep. When you wake up, the problem begins where you left it. Because you did not deal with it.
And we say that alcohol solves all problems.
No, you have to deal with it. You have to deal with the problem. Alcohol is not a solution. Actually, if you become a little bit Christian and read, it says, leave alcohol to those who are struggling.
To the fools.
To those who want to die. Yeah.
Let's take this short break.
Okay.
And when we come back, we'll be talking about transformer na stima ikipotea. How does that affect someone psychologically? How does that pent up to mental health? Welcome back to 101. Na tulikuwa tumeachia kwa transformer. The man being the provider.
Yes.
Transformer ya area ikichomeka. Ni tunapigianga KPLC. Now, how is it related to mental health?
Actually, in most cases, kabla hii transformer kuchomeka, kuna kuanga na shida. Either mvua imenyesha mingi, ama kuna mawingu,
kuna mtu amekamua mafuta,
ama ndege iligonga waya. So the same happens here with mental health. Are you seeing?
Yes.
There has to be a challenge mentally for a long period in order for the man to suffer erectile dysfunction. And why is that so? Because our emotions are connected to our intimacy.
Expound kidogo hapo.
It does not matter how strong or tight you are. You cannot get intimate with someone whom you have no emotions for. Unless, of course, you are not a normal human being.
So, it means hata kama ninapenda huyu msichana sana, hata tuende pale tunalala, it will not work in akili yangu haiko hapo.
Yeah, when you are mentally disturbed, kama kuna shida inakusumbua, you are either stressed, you are tensed,
money wise,
you are broke. A number of men, as guys, yeah, we attach these mostly on how economically viable you are. So when a man does not have money in his pocket, the most likely thing is he will be stressed.
Very true.
When you're stressed, you're not in charge of all your faculties. When you're not in charge of all your faculties, there are high chances that even when you try to become intimate, yeah, it won't work. And if it functions for a limited time. Why? Because your body is tensed.
It is stress.
Yeah, you are stressed, so you have tension all through your body. So it is not easy. And it happens. The only thing is, at a certain age, and this is one bit that a lot of people don't understand, erectile dysfunction is something that is normal in men. At a certain age, men who are yet to approach 40, they will struggle with this at some point. It is made worse when your partner does not understand that bit of it is a normal thing, it is a phase that takes a few weeks and it just goes naturally if you are negotiated properly. So in most cases, our partners will then accuse you of, if you are not doing it here, you must be doing it elsewhere. Which then tops up the tension that you're already having. Any man that cannot...
That kupiga stima.
Yes, any man that cannot have a start is already tensed. The ego is already bruised. And if you understand. And you're like, what's happening to me? So you become hostile. When she touches you, you're like, I'm tired.
Nimechoka kazi.
I'm tired. Yeah? And tomorrow, and because you leave the house wondering, now she's in the house and I can't even satisfy her. So you go to work worried, and you're trying to find a solution. That's where you end up drowning yourself in alcohol. So you come home staggering. So basically, there's nothing you can do.
And there's this blue pill that was introduced. It has trended very much. I think to help men understand it more, because right now it is not even being used by men who are in marriage. It is being used by young guys. Trying to get to that level, trying to prove your ego.
The question is, what is the blue pill for in the first place? What is its intended original use? Z. That is a side effect of the blue pill.
Okay, expound more on this one.
The blue pill is supposed to deal with somebody who is almost getting a stroke or there's a failure in the heart.
Whoa.
So whatever we are using it for is actually side effect. It's just like someone taking Piriton. Piriton is an antihistamine. But the side effect is you sleep. So people say, when you chupa Piriton. So the blue pill is actually, that is the side effect. And that's why we have a lot of them dying in line of duty.
Oh, okay. Yes. And it is said even some of the ministers took too much blue pill. Ndio anapatikana ameenda.
I can't confirm or deny, but the bottom line is, when you use anything for what it's not intended to be used for, chances are high that you're going to have problems.
So, ED is something that might be caused by one, mental health, and also physical health.
It is a mental issue. It starts in the mental, and then it follows onto your physical, because you are what you eat and you are what you think.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And one of the other things that cause ED that aggravate it is the kind of food we eat. You cannot go eating fries with broilers and then expect to last 1 hour, 2 hours. Do they even give you vitality to last? You see. So also we must go back to our diet. It's all about our diet. You know, we must go back to our original foods and the diet. They say you should eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a
prince,
and supper like a pauper. Yeah. So
the breakfast should be heavy.
Yes.
The supper should be light.
Yes.
Because give me that psychology.
So when you eat heavy breakfast and you're busy, it works into your system. You the same thing you do with a good lunch. It works into the system. The energy is expended and works well, and then you eat little supper so that you don't store fat in your system.
Because
and then you have virality and vitality to operate.
So ED is both partners need to work on each other.
Once it is diagnosed that you have ED, and usually it is the man who diagnoses first. The only problem we have is a lot of us are ignorant about it.
Utaambia mwanaume mwenzako
no, unakaa na wife unamwambia yenyewe kuonekana vile nasikia there's a problem. That's why I say if we were not ignorant, if these things were taught to us from prior, because in the olden days people used to know.
Your uncle, your aunties
will tell you
responsible for this.
Because they have passed through that stage. You've heard that life begins at 40.
Yes.
Yeah, so somewhere between 30 and 40 here, every single man walking the planet Earth will suffer ED.
Guarantee.
It's a guarantee. Ask anybody. Probably they just don't know it's ED, but ask anybody. That time will come. And at that point, you need to have, that is where psychologists come in, because they will be able to tell you that it is a phase of life and this is how to go about it. Most of us don't consider that as serious. So we end up gulping gallons and gallons of beer, thinking we are sorting out our problem. Meanwhile, we are actually just postponing it.
Yes.
So if it is arrested on the onset, the effect is very short-lived. But if it is not arrested, then the effects can be long, and it can even break up a family.
Men, we are coming back after the break. And something I would want us to bond upon. As family, you need to talk about these things. Ujue kama wako wana function, ama ha function. Na kama ha function, kwa nini ha function? How will you work towards this? And ladies, tuache kupikia watu chips. We are back, and tuliwachia kwa men being the provider. In this day and age, both of us are working. Mental health, niingizie hapo venye zinaingiliana, whereby there are sometimes, like during the COVID season, most of the people were being laid off. Mimi nimefutwa kazi, mama hajafutwa. Mama sasa ndiye ana provide. Mimi kama mwanaume, my ego might kuja chini. How do we deal with that in a family setting?
You know, again, it goes back to when you two were getting together. How did you agree you're going to live your lives here? Were you coming together? Was one person escaping something to join this other person? If you had a mutual understanding, then it's not even an issue if one person loses a job. Yeah, if you had a mutual understanding, it's not even an issue because you're both responsible and you are co-partners in this enterprise called marriage.
Okay. So the title man being a provider does not apply when you're doing you call it what? Co-marriage. Yes.
Well, the title a man being a provider, I think it is something that I would call it brainwashing, kind of.
Overrated?
It's overrated, or it is a way of somebody trying to control somebody else for their own benefit. Mm-hmm. Though generally it feels good when a man provides, yes, and it feels good when a woman receives. Women are naturally receivers. Mm-hmm. You give her 2 eggs and she makes a meal out of it.
Yes.
Does it mean she can't get 2 eggs? She can get 2 eggs. Ask any woman. They will tell you, I earn more than my husband. Lakini hiyo mia yake tano akinipea.
Ni tamu. Zake ni zake.
What is that?
Mwanaume ni zetu.
No, now that slogan makes it all awkward. That's now what we call stupidity. That ya mwanaume ndio yetu na yangu ni yangu. Yeah?
Yes.
When you met, you were individuals. Then you brought up a life here. Mm-hmm. So when you mentioned that ya mwanaume ndio yetu, when he met you, he was alone. When you met him, you were alone. So now you are 3, you, him, and someone else. So when you burden him to take care of the 2 of you, and yours, you take care of yourself, really, does it make sense? So we must demystify that. I get to hear people talk and I get to hear women say, oh, equal rights, equal everything, what a man can do, a woman can do better.
A current slogan.
Yeah, why would it be that what a man can do, a woman can do better in other things, but not on the wallet? But of course, we've seen also other families where the woman carries the whole burden and you wouldn't even know.
You will never notice.
Because she comes from work and gives the husband the ATM. So it is the man who spends the money that he does not work for. So in order to create respect in this house, because the society has put it such that a man is the head of the house.
Yes.
So the children might never even know that dad was not working.
Dad is broke.
They will never know because he carries all the ATMs, he does the purchases, he does every other thing, and when the children ask their mother for a pair of shoes, she's like, ask your dad, but he uses her ATM to buy them. So there's that level of respect. So when it comes to this issue of men as providers, for me I think it goes beyond the norm, which is the money.
Yes.
Men provide security. They are supposed to provide security. I am supposed to protect my wife against any aggression
from outside.
From whoever it is.
True.
My own family, my friends, neighbors, her own relatives. If it is aggression, I should provide that security so that she feels secure.
Yes.
I should provide emotional security so that she knows when I'm out there and it is 10 at night, najishtaki tu. She's emotionally stable and okay, my hubby is coming home.
Yes.
I shouldn't give her any reason to call me, and when I'm not picking, she's like, uko na nani? That is now emotional deficiency if a man didn't provide it.
You've not provided.
Men should provide spiritual leadership. Men should provide the general, natural, normal leadership. A man should even be able to lead in cooking. You should be the best chef in your house.
We know the best chefs are men, but
knowing is one thing, doing is
another.
So you should be the best chef in your house, so that they take cue and leadership. Leo hujakaranga kama ya daddy. So when you are out there, they miss you.
Dada hajakuja leo.
Dada hajapikia. Dada hajapika. So in a situation that your wife, an emergency occurs and she is in the hospital,
you can continue doing what?
You don't have to go looking for the sister to come and cook for you.
There is no gap left.
The only gap that will be there is mommy is missing. in the hospital. Every other thing is constant.
Now I understand this point of where men, mzee akikuja nyumbani, kila mtu anaondoka, remote inaachwa hapo. Anabaki yeye mwenyewe amekaa peke yake. It is very lonely as a man.
And it is a sad scenario because in your head as a man, you have boxes.
Yes.
In her head as a woman, she has boxes. Sometimes people blame and say, watoto wanapenda mama yao. Hata wakikomaa ni mama yao. It's all about these boxes. You know, you as a man, when you want to deal with your mother, there is a particular box for your mother. Once you've dealt with your mother, it's a done deal. You can even come home and not discuss it. You have dealt with it.
Yes, yes.
And that's why it's possible for a man to have another girlfriend out there and the wife, and the two shall never meet and they shall never know each other. Until when he is dead. So when the woman rises up and says, Allah, I am also here. Why? Because a man's boxes are all unique and different and they are covered. Once business is done, cover and keep, cover and keep, cover and keep. Nikwambia usinipigie simu ikifika 6.
Na hata mimi sitakupigia ikifika 6.
Na ashafunika hiyo box akaweka kando, ako na jamii yake. Believe you me, nothing nil. Hata ukimpata, ushasikia ile wimbo ya I got you red-handed. Wasn't me.
Wasn't shaggy.
But then for the ladies, each box is connected to the other one. When my wife, assuming my wife was away, and then the young man, you know, my last boy is still young. He pees, he wets his bed. He may have wet the bed because he didn't get mommy's hug yesterday night. So it's a reaction, it's a psychosomatic reaction to missing mommy. Then I remove the bed sheets and clean them and bath him and take him to school and leave the mattress out. But when my wife will be coming, I call her and I say, hey, what time will you be getting home? She's like, I'll be home early. I say, okay, please make sure it doesn't rain on the mattress. So she'll come and remove the mattress and bring in.
Yes.
It's common knowledge. She has brought the mattress in. It's the end of story. Yes. Definitely kama iliwekwa nje kulikuwa na shida. Si ndio? But when I come back, she wants that story from the beginning to the end. Whereas as a man, mattress kama ilikuwa nje
inafaa kurudi ndani.
Na kama kulikuwa na shida, si imerudishwa kwa kitanda. Kwani
tumerudi to normal.
So those boxes. So a woman's boxes are intertwined. Zote. So hii laini inaguza ile na inaguza hii. You can quarrel with a woman in January and she will remind you 2 years later. The January of 2019 on 10th of that January, saa 8 usiku na dakika 4, you are thinking.
Hata wewe haukumbuki.
Yeah, you know you're cracking your head. And so when we talk about mental health, it starts right at home here. When things are not okay at home here, they'll grow and grow and grow. You've heard statements like the elephant in the house. Nobody's talking about the elephant in the house, right? This is the situation. If there's a problem in the house, sit down, talk it out. In my place, in my house, we always have what we call Saturday family time. And I had news. I got news from home that they have introduced something called technology fasting. So on Sunday, nobody goes on social media, no touching gadgets, no TV, no nothing. Whether it will work.
That is a good thing.
Whether it will work, I still don't know. I will go back to next But on Saturday, we have breakfast in the morning. It is the boys' day for cooking breakfast. So all the boys in the house wake up, all the ladies can sleep, as long as they are on the table, eat in the morning, showered. And then we take breakfast, and after breakfast, we sit there and we talk for hours. It is on that table that people vent out. The children vent out. It is only on that table on Saturday that they are all allowed to talk to daddy and mommy the way they want. They can say anything, but they are like, you know that rule in the parliament that where you are within the parliament premises, Unaweza tukana mtu na hakuna kitu unafanyika.
Hata president anatukanangwa.
Na hakuna kitu unafanyika. So that day
it releases the tension.
It releases a lot of things and you get to bond with them. And you also as a couple, you get to bond. You understand? But when we do not have those family moments when we can freely talk, yeah, it creates a lot of mental challenges. Mental challenges begin at home before they reach a point where people get into abusing drugs and substance. Why? Because they are looking for a way out to release that tension. They are looking for a solace to release that tension. In the West, when you walk into a hospital, after triage, the next place you visit is the psychosocial department. So they assess you whether the presenting issue here is mental or physical. 70% of the time, the presenting issue is mental. And so, the psychologist, the psychiatrist, or the counselor on duty is able to handle that. So you don't have to fill the ward bed with a mental...
For a mental case.
Yes.
And it is very common.
And
it is very common with these developed countries,
yes,
for people to go visit psychologists, psychiatrists. It is a normal thing.
It is a it should be a norm.
It should be a normal thing.
It should be a norm. Even when you go to church, when they tell you now pray, tell God everything, yeah?
Yes.
In psychology, it is called talk therapy. Because number one, you're talking to someone you do not know. You've never seen them. Yeah?
Yes.
You probably may never see them, but you've been told to believe that they have listened, and when you finish, then they have taken all your problems away. And then you leave that place relieved because
you talked it out.
You just talked.
So it's all about talking it out.
It's all about talk therapy. Just get it off your chest.
My next one. In the olden days, it was called polygamy. Yes. Currently, it's called cheating. Men, where does the fine line come in? Can I introduce, if I want to be polygamous, instead of what we call cheating now? How is it, as a man, how do I introduce such a thing into my family?
You know, that takes us back to our culture and tradition. Why was it there in the first place?
It was not to curb cheating, not really.
So, what is cheating?
Having,
in your opinion,
having an affair behind you. In a box, the box of a man.
Yes.
He has another box for this other family.
Yes.
And this other family. But both of them don't know each other.
And what is polygamy?
Both of them know each other.
So the difference is in the knowing. So they are both cheating, but the difference is that you're cheating knowing and you're cheating not knowing. If you would like to call it that way. However, we must not look at it in terms of negativity. What did it use to achieve in the first place? That's what we need to look at. And we may need to demystify what is polygamy in itself. Okay? In the world today, when you talk about polygamy, the first thing that runs in people's mind is you're a sexual predator who just wants to
have many women.
Yes. Was that the original meaning of polygamy? And follow nature. Male species of any creature are born polygamists. Follow nature. Lions.
It's very true.
Lions.
The kings of the jungle.
Yeah, the one that takes care of the family is the lioness. Where is the male at that point?
Anazurura huko anakojoa. Sorry to say. Marking territory.
For any animal, what matters is how strong are you? Because all these things are there. It's not that they are not there. So it is entirely up to you to decide that if I am going this way, I'll go fully. If I'm going this way, I'll go fully. So I tell people that you are either a traditionalist following culture and tradition, or you're a Christian following Christianity. You cannot have both.
You cannot mix both.
You cannot have both. So if you choose to be a Christian, then follow what is in that Bible. But even if you look at the Bible itself, in the olden days, guys were polygamous.
The Old Testament, people are polygamous.
Yes. But the New Testament,
people are not.
People are not. So if you choose to follow it to the latter. Follow what you know. Don't do it because others do it. Because what is the point of doing it because I'm doing it, and in my back, you're doing otherwise?
You do not fulfill the purpose of what you had started.
You can't preach to me water and I'm seeing you clearly drinking wine. What the hell do you mean?
Yes.
Okay? So, and if you follow culture, our traditions had tenets in them that were rich. So if you follow culture, ask yourself, what was the purpose of polygamy? As originally constituted, do we have it today? And which is better? You declaring to your woman at home that I would like to add another woman and you be safe, or you trying to play the hide and seek? Does it mean I approve of polygamy? In the current world and the current setting, it's very difficult. It's not an easy thing. And I would disapprove of it. Why? Because we have mixed culture and religion, and so it has created barriers and valleys that we can't fill up.
Gray areas that are not
too many of them. In the olden days, if there was a polygamous family, the man was in charge. Men were men. We didn't have mama's boy.
In the olden days.
We didn't have mama's boy.
Very true.
Because at 13 you were circumcised and that was the end of you with your mother's house.
You are even built. You
built your own place. Yes. But today, I saw a clip doing rounds online. A 30-year-old man demanding money from the mother.
And it becomes an issue that the mother is not providing.
How? And you have your own family.
And you have your
so
own place.
So I go back to the question. And this I take it back to the issue of religion and culture. So if you want to follow the Bible says, and a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife. But we go back and mix this with our culture, and instead it is the woman who usually leaves his father and mother and come to our home. No wonder my mother and her will never agree. Whoever said a man shall leave his father and mother knew very well that when it is the woman who comes to our home, they will clash with my mother because I'm not in charge of my territory. I'm in someone's territory.
That is a very valid and good point that I had never seen. In that, you move.
The living for the man is simply a point where anakuwa na mji wake autawale.
Juu mji ametoka kuna mtawala.
Yes.
It will always bring.
Atakuwa na mji wake autawale, mke wake awe kule. Mamake akitoka kwake aje kumchokoza mke huku, ana haki, huyu mwanamke ana haki ya kumweleza mwenzangu, rudi kwako niko kwangu. Lakini hapa ni wakati mke ndiye amehamia kwenu, amehamia katika mji wa mtu mwingine. So malkia wa ule mji ana haki ya kumdharau. Unaona? So ndio sababu nasema tukifata sheria za kimila tuende nazo tukamilishe. Lakini tukifata Biblia pia tuende nayo na tuifuate kihalisi.
To the latter.
A man shall leave. It does not say and a woman shall join the man. In fact, it says a man shall leave and cleave. Unatoka na unamshika. Mnaenda naye. Cleave. Cleave. Ukitoa si inabaki leave. Cleave.
With her.
Unamshika mkono, mnaenda kujenga mji wenu. Mali yeye ni malkia na wewe ni mfalme, unatawala kule na anatawala kule. Mkizaa watoto wenu wanajua kuna baba na kuna mama. But when you have your wife inside the compound of your father and your mother, that kingdom belongs to someone else. There will always be clashes. And sometimes in that setup, mental challenges are very high. Because if my mother abuses my wife, and my wife reports to me, I love my wife so much, and I love my mother so much, whom do I hate of the two?
You are unable to divide the two.
So who suffers here mentally?
Mwanaume.
And then I stop functioning because niko na mawazo mingi. And then who is blamed again?
Mwanaume. Men, you hear that? Mental health is a very important factor in your growth. Tumeambiwa tukue tunaongea. Even if you cannot talk, visit a psychologist, a psychiatrist,
Or a counselor.
Piga gumzo.
Yeah.
Sober. You don't need to put alcohol so that you can talk.
You know why women hardly have these problems? Wanaongea pere.
Inaitwa udako.
We would like to call it udako, but actually they just bent out.
What is in there?
Visit any church. Majority ni kina nani?
Wamama.
Kwa kanisa ni nini? Talk therapy.
Talk therapy, a very important thing. Give us your parting shot. Ile mwanaume atabaki nayo, si kujiuliza, ende ulize mwanaume mwingine.
Mwenzake. You as a man, you are charged with the responsibility of remaining a man. You will never be less of a man. So don't do anything to prove that you're a man. Simply just be a man. There's nothing more to prove. You are already a man in your own right. So simply just be a man. Our fingers are not the same. Some are short and fat, some are lean, some are long, some are small. So you are a man in your own right. Don't try to be like so and so, like so and so, like so and so. Don't die in line of duty to prove a point. Otherwise, thank you. See you next time.
One-on-one. See you next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.